Recently, we visited Louisville, Kentucky. We were on our way to see the historic sanatorium, Waverly Hills, and we decided to make a couple of day event out of it and stay in the heart of historic downtown Louisville. There was lots to do, lots of nightlife, lots of food and drink to enjoy. There was a beautiful river view. Of course, Churchill Downs is there, the home of the Kentucky Derby. Plenty of architecture and art and sculptures to keep one busy for days if you're into photography. Lots of active events for the whole family to enjoy together. Just a beautiful small town. It's a big small town, but still kind of the small town vibe, and lots of history. When I began looking for hotels in the area, I wanted to stay somewhere near the historic downtown section, and I found two hotels. I found the Brown Hotel and the Seelbach Hilton Hotel. I looked at both of them. I decided on the Seelbach just because of the history and because it was rumored to be haunted, and I was not disappointed. The Seelbach was built by two brothers from Bavaria, Louis and Otto Seelbach, and they opened their original hotel in 1886. In 1902, they built the hotel at the location where it currently stands. And that's about all the history that I'm going to give about the hotel. I selected this hotel because it was rumored to be haunted. The Lady in Blue is a famous tale that is told of this hotel. And this was a guest who perished in the hotel in 1936. She went by the name Patricia Wilson, though later it was found out that that was not her real name. It was a name that she had assumed when she had married and left her small town and come to Louisville in search of a better life. People claim that they have seen Patricia in all areas of the Seelbach Hotel, but the two most common claims are that she can be seen in the elevator areas and that she can be seen on the 8th floor. Patricia had been found deceased in the hotel in 1936 and has been cited a few times since, but it's been a while since there's been any real activity surrounding her. Prior to arriving at the hotel, I did a good bit of internet research about the hotel itself and the haunting known as the Lady in Blue, and I saw a lot of videos with a gentleman by the name of Larry Johnson, who's the hotel historian. And he's somewhat of a legend in the Seelbach. He's been working there for over 40 years. He's written a book. He's been interviewed countless times. And he is the expert on all things Seelbach. So when I arrived at the hotel, I wasn't really sure what to expect. I wasn't sure if I had built up the hotel too much in my mind and had too high expectations. When I walked in and I saw the lobby, I was not disappointed in the least. It is an absolutely exquisite hotel. It is everything that I hoped that it would be. And standing there in the lobby was none other than historian Larry Johnson. I will admit I was starstruck and probably acted a lot like a fangirl because I had seen so many interviews with him, and he's so very, very knowledgeable in his history, in his knowledge of architecture, his knowledge of the hotel and the property itself, that I was just absolutely amazed that he was there on the premises, readily available to answer any questions that one might have, and I certainly had some questions for Mr. Johnson. Everything that I had read and viewed indicated that the most haunted room to stay in was located on the 8th floor, room number 810. So when I went to do my early check-in on my Hilton Honors app, I was delighted to find that, lo and behold, room 810 was available. Needless to say, getting on the elevator, I was absolutely ecstatic. I could not wait for the elevator to get to the 8th floor so that I could see what room 810 was going to look like. So here is the famous room 810 with adjoining bathroom, king-size bed, lots of architectural details and historic accents, a trapdoor in the closet, and a knock at the door. Who could it be? Mr. Johnson delivering our luggage to the famous room 810. Does it even get any more perfect than that? So I threw all my stuff on the floor, and if you know me, you know that that is not what I do when I arrive at a hotel, but I could not wait to get to the basement to see the Rathskeller room. The Rathskeller room is a very interesting room that I was quite sure was going to be haunted just based on the looks of it. It's located in the basement of the hotel. It has served as a speakeasy, a storage facility, housing for troops during times of war. It was opened in 1907, and the really unique feature about this room is that it is one of the largest collections of rockwood pottery in the world. This room is decorated entirely in rockwood. Now, again, it's used as an event venue. It is not haunted, but it does definitely have some very old school vibe to it, and maybe feels like it could be haunted. All of the videos that I saw showed people just walking right into the Rathskeller, and I found that to be a little bit difficult to believe. After visiting the hotel, I know that that is not possible. The Rathskeller does remain locked, and you do need to see Mr. Johnson before you can go downstairs and tour it. Currently, he offers tours twice a day around 4:30 and 6:30 p.m., and you can go in with him and view this space. The space is located in the lobby of the hotel. The stairwell to access the space is if you come in the left-hand entrance to the hotel on 4th Street and look to your right, you will see the stairway there. But again, you cannot enter this room. The doors are locked via cable, and only Mr. Johnson has a key to this space. After our tour of the Rathskeller, we just roamed around the hotel for a little while. After all the walking, I enjoyed a Seelbach cocktail at the Seelbach bar located in the hotel. After my cocktail, I decided to go out to dinner and go for a drive on 3rd Street at the recommendation of Mr. Johnson. 3rd Street is a beautiful historic residential district. And then we went down to the river, photographed the steamboats and the bridges, and just toured the city and had some fun. So we came back to the hotel fairly late, and I decided to go and do some exploring on my own. It was getting pretty quiet around the hotel, and I thought it'd be an excellent time to just look around, see what I could see, hear what I could hear. So I went to the 10th floor, which is where the Grand Ballroom is located, and it was an area I had been in earlier in the day. Earlier that day, I'd gotten kind of a strange vibe on the 10th floor, so I thought it was worth going back alone just to see if there was anything interesting happening there. So I got up on the 10th floor after 11 p.m., getting close to 11:30, I suppose, and I could faintly hear music playing toward the ballroom. I could also smell the faint smell of cigar smoke. So I wandered up to the ballroom and I started looking around, and there was no one there. No one on that entire wing of the hotel. All of the doors were locked. All of the lights were off. There was literally no one there. But I could hear and smell what smelled like an old party happening out back, gentlemen smoking cigars, people listening to music, occasional sound that sounded like laughter, but nothing was happening in this area. And so the next day, I came up early to do a Zoom meeting in the same lobby, and I saw the maintenance and logistics people coming in to set up an event, and I was there when the first guy unlocked the door to an empty ballroom. So there was no event in there the previous evening, no way that there was anything going on that I could have heard. So I'll just let you watch the footage. Now, the AC units on this floor are incredibly loud, so that's part of the noise you're hearing, but you can also hear something in the background. And here's the picture of the ballroom the next morning with all the furniture in place that I watched them take into the ballroom. The next area that I decided to explore was on the second floor, the mezzanine area, where the entrance to the Oak Room is. The Oak Room is closed at this point in the evening. However, the common area in front of it is not closed, and as you can hear, there's piano music playing. It's a very nice, relaxing vibe in this room. But I want you to pay attention in the video following. Toward the end of the video, there is a blue light, a small blue light that appears. As I have panned past a bar and panned back toward it, you see this blue light come around the corner. It goes around the bar, and then it goes down a corridor. When it gets to the end of the corridor, it disappears. I followed the light to the end of that corridor, and we'll talk after the video about what I found at the other end. So when I get to the other end of the corridor, I see this kind of roundabout area. And if I turn and look back over my shoulder, there's this other long corridor. And I'm standing right outside of some elevators. And I start to get just this overwhelming, creepy vibe. It's the only time in the entire time I was at this hotel that I really had a very creepy vibe. And I did not know until the next day when I took the official tour with Mr. Johnson that the elevator doors that I was standing outside of were the elevator doors behind which Patricia Wilson's body was found in 1936. So the blue light, I don't know if it was a fluke. I don't know what it was, but it definitely led me to this area in the back of the hotel where I was alone and where I was officially creeped out until I got chills. The next day I did go back and do the tour of the Oak Room with Mr. Johnson, and these are just a few shots of the interior of this beautiful space that was a billiards room at one time and a gentleman's parlor at another, and a restaurant at one time. Off of the Oak Room is what is known as the Poker Room, which is the room that Al Capone is rumored to have played poker in during stays at the Seelbach. This room has a hidden passage. This doorway here opens up into what used to be a hidden stairwell that went downstairs to the Rathskeller, and through the double doors in the Rathskeller, through the service hallways and into the tunnels that once ran beneath the hotel and beneath the city. It is also rumored that that is how Al Capone was able to escape law enforcement at one time. The tunnels are no longer accessible to the public. They were sealed off some time back. The photo that I have here, obviously, I was not able to take myself. This was a photo that I was given by Mr. Johnson that he had on his cell phone. And speaking of Mr. Johnson, this is a copy of his book that he wrote for the anniversary of the hotel's grand opening. And it is a really insightful, informative book. It talks about all of the persons who stayed there throughout time, but from a rock band such as the Rolling Stone and Kiss, to a series of presidents, royalty, actors and actresses, and of course the famous gangsters and mobsters of the time. It's a great book. I think it's $20 at the hotel. If Mr. Johnson is on shift, he will autograph it for you, and it is definitely a great purchase. Mr. Johnson also gave me a copy of a story that he had in his possession that points to the rumor of Patricia Wilson committing suicide due to the death of her estranged husband as a false narrative, and indicates that, in fact, her death was not accidental or suicide, but was, in fact, homicide. That's not my story to tell. That is Mr. Johnson's story. I suggest that anybody who's interested in this hotel visit, find Mr. Johnson, take his tour, learn a lot about the hotel, buy his book, enjoy a great weekend here. It is definitely well worth the money spent. So in summary, is the Seelbach Hotel haunted? Yes. If you define haunted as the presence of some entity, the presence of some emotion, then I would say yes, that you can feel that at the Seelbach. Is it scary? No. The entity, the feeling, the vibe, whatever you want to call it, that you feel when you are at the Seelbach is definitely one that is peaceful, that is welcoming, nurturing. The only way I can equate it is it felt like that you were staying at your grandma's house and she was happy that you were there, and you could just feel that vibe throughout the hotel. Definitely, this is a place you want to go if you are interested in haunted houses, but this is not going to be the spooky, extreme quantities of paranormal activity, apparitions, etc., that some people claim that it is. This is more of a residual love that remains within the walls of the hotel, probably the love of the many people that have stayed there, the many people that still are there, the employees, Mr. Johnson, everybody that is part of the Seelbach team loves the property, and it shows in all that they do. And when you are there, you will feel like you are home and like you are part of the family.